Hey there everyone, welcome to Tales Syntax and I'm your host Nisha and welcome to episode 2 of my new playlist Expressions of Tarot. And in today's episode, I want to talk about how the Empress archetype can allow us to creatively upskill ourselves through predictive analytics. As always, I will put timestamps to the different sections of this video down in the description box, and I have written a detailed blog about the same topic which I have posted on my blogspot. And I will put the link down to the blogspot website where I've posted this particular article so that anyone who prefers to engage with this conversation on text can just read the article. Now, let's dive right in. Traditional definitions of the Empress always move towards fertility, fecundity, motherhood, creation, and generally talk of the Empress as a woman, wife, and womb, the three W's. And this card has sort of created a divide between the tarot reading community in terms of what the Empress really means. Some people do believe that the Empress energy does subscribe to the woman, wife, and womb archetype, but others believe that this definition is extremely restrictive. And honestly, I fall within the second camp, which believes that this definition is restrictive and it limits our understanding of the scope of the Empress's powers. To me personally, the Empress has always been a warrior, and a warrior for whom womanhood is an added benefit as opposed to a detractor. To me, she is this sharp, smart strategist who uses her soft sensuality to get what she wants from the emperor in the form of an edict, or her awesome power is used in order to influence nobles and enemy rulers and the general population. And to me, this is where this dichotomy of the Empress as definitely the wife of an emperor and the mother of the heir to the throne, and also the Empress as this strategist, this leader, this person who often used to pull the strings of the emperor's mind and heart, behind the heavy silks of the bedchamber. So the Empress is a very, very powerful archetype, and when I consider the Empress, the very first thing that I can think of or that comes to my mind is how the Empress can allow us to create our desired life, but also to manage it and nurture it in smart, creative ways so that they withstand the test of time. And no matter what happens, no matter what changes occur in the world, the Empress energy can allow us to thrive and flourish as the world goes on by creatively upskilling ourselves and being future ready. So the very first thing that I want to talk about in terms of the Empress archetype is told through the lens of the Empress card in the Spirit Song Tarot deck. Now, as you can see, this card features a rabbit or a hare as the Empress, and this rabbit sits within this fertile field where there's a lot of greenery and just looks out into the world. Now, this rabbit might be looking very calm and very happy, but in reality, when you consider rabbits and hares, they are a very worrisome set of creatures. Now, this is mainly because of their position in the ecological food chain, and they often fall in the lower rung where they are preyed upon by so many creatures. And because of this, they are constantly keeping an eye out on their surroundings. They're always on guard, they're always worried, they're always beset with fears, and therefore they cannot really enjoy the moment that they are in, nor can they experience a truly wholesome life. Now, the choice of this particular imagery as the Empress is really intriguing and interesting to me. Now, one reason which I believe Paulina Cassidy, the creator of the Spirit Song Tarot, might have used the rabbit or the hare as a representative of the Empress energy is possibly because rabbits and hares have a very large kindling of kittens. Now, a group of baby rabbits is called a kindling, and each baby rabbit is called a kitten. So they often have very large kindlings of kitten. And so I feel that this particular imagery of the Empress has to do with the definition of creation, of fertility and fecundity. And yet, this isn't the only definition of the Empress that I subscribe to. Now, when we look at and when we consider this worrisome nature, this always being on guard that rabbits and hares exhibit, in human terms, for me, this translates to us always being worried about being passed over for a promotion or a pay hike, of being rejected at job interviews, of failing in examinations, of being found unattractive by our spouse or our partners, of losing that that safe cushion that we have of our current job if we choose to forego it and pursue our professional passions or our goals and try to manifest our life. These fears to me are the Empress reversed, wherein we fail to consider the implications of stagnating in a job that does of course offer a cushion, or stagnating in a relationship or a personal experience, personal or professional experience, that does offer a safe cushion, but which also creates a ceiling. So wherever there's a cushion, there's always a ceiling, right? And I want us to ask ourselves, does this really serve us? Ultimately, tarot is a set of archetypes that we look at. How can we use these archetypes to make our lives better or to manifest what we want? And do we really want to manifest this worrisome, on guard nature of the rabbit or hare as this card shows? Do we always want to be fearful about how we may lose that cushion of that safety net of the current financial resources that we have, or of the safety net of the relationship that we've manifested, or the safety net of whatever is currently going in our life? And do we want to let that fear govern us and prevent us from going ahead, from moving on, from reaching for better things that is rightfully ours? And that is where I want to bring our attention to another manifestation of the Empress, which is the deciduous tree from the Wild Unknown Tarot. Now, if you've seen walkthroughs of this deck, you will see that both the Emperor and the Empress are represented by trees. The Emperor is represented by an evergreen tree, and the Empress is represented by a deciduous tree. Now, one thing about deciduous trees is that they shed their leaves at the turn of each season. Typically, they shed their leaves in summer, and they start regrowing their leaves during the spring, monsoon, winter seasons. Now, why do they do this? This is because deciduous trees require a lot of water to grow, and during summer there is often a scarcity of water around the world. And so because they can't sustain their leaves, deciduous trees shed their leaves so that they can make do with whatever limited water resources that they have. But now here's a problem. Leaves are the kitchen of the tree, right? The leaves are the ones that use the process of photosynthesis to generate nutrients on which the tree survives. Now, once the tree sheds its leaves, the kitchen is gone. How does the deciduous tree survive the season of summer and live long enough for monsoon and spring and winter to come? And that's where deciduous trees have devised a very ingenious methodology. Instead of relying on leaves during summer, these trees rely on the soil and the nutrients that they can get from the soil. In terms of this energy, this deciduous tree energy as the Empress translating into our lives, I want you to consider, we are taking the rabbit imagery, where you're always on guard, where you're holding on to something that doesn't serve you because you're worried about whether or not you're going to get something better, or you're worried whether or not you can manifest something better, or even taking the traditional Empress energy of creation and fecundity and fertility, will you have a fertile ground to grow what you want? Will you be fecund enough to create what you want? Now you're worried, and so you're holding on to whatever was that comfortable cushion. But let's say you shed those fears like the deciduous tree sheds its leaves, right? What if you don't have that nutrient rich soil on which you can rely on? And to me, this is what happens when, and believe me, I am in awe of people who have the courage to pursue their dreams unabashedly, and I wholly recommend that. But pursuing your dreams without having a soil that is nutrient rich, right? Without having some sort of foolproof measure which can help you manifest these dreams, which can help you in your path, which can make this chasing of your dreams sustainable. Because ultimately that's what we want, right? It's not just about achieving a dream that you had, but it's about using that achievement of the dream to further your growth. This could be, your dream might be to start a business, but just starting a business isn't enough. You want your business to thrive and to grow to a pace and a level where it can bring you your financial abundance, it can help your community and achieve any other goals that you have. So what if you don't have a plan in place that can support the sustainability of your manifestation of goals? Right? What if you don't have that nutrient rich soil which can support the loss of those leaves that you have just shed? While it's important to follow the advice of the Empress, how you follow it is more important. How you take this archetype and take this energy to create that fertile nutrient rich soil for yourself is very important. And that's where we come to the crux of this video, which is upskilling yourself creatively through predictive analytics, or upskilling yourself smartly through predictive analytics. That's right, predictive analytics. I'm sure a lot of you might be wondering, how on earth is the tarot related to predictive analytics? I'll tell you how. Now, predictive analytics is a branch of artificial intelligence which basically uses a lot of algorithms to understand and to predict possible trends in the future. Typically, predictive analytics makes use of the searches that we make on search engines, the hashtags that we use on social media, the trending topics that people are engaging with on social platforms, the things that we buy or that we don't buy, and how essentially we engage with the world both online and offline. And predictive analytics uses all of this information, all of this data, and then it uses this data to bring out trends that might occur in the future. Now, with artificial intelligence getting very powerful by the day, the accuracy of these predictions is also getting higher. I believe that the Empress energy is a huge champion of predictive analytics. Now, a marketer can use predictive analytics to find out how a certain customer might engage with a piece of content online. A salesperson can use predictive analytics to predict whether a product will sell in the next few months or how it will sell in the next few years, so that they can tweak their sales approach accordingly. A technologist might predict what new tech trends are going to come up in the next few years, and they can know what kind of software or hardware development that they need to do. An HR professional can predict which skills can be obsolete in the next few months or next few years, and how employees can protect themselves from skill obsolescence by upskilling themselves the right way. Ultimately, predictive analytics, the way I see it, can support the creation of a new knowledge base that will future-proof individuals from obsolescence. Now, consider your career goals, right? I believe that you can use predictive analytics to make sure that your skills are never obsolete and that you always are ready to be picked for that special project that requires these set of skills which others may not have, or that you're ready for that promotion or that pay hike because you possess these skills that very few people in the industry do. Predictive analytics allows you to identify where your career or where your personal passions are heading, how the brands and companies that you engage with will change their decision making because of the changes they see in the industry as a whole, and ultimately how this will affect your professional growth or your personal experiences. You can use tools like Google Trends or the trending topics tab on social media, or you can even check the trending hashtags on social media to see what people are engaging with a lot and what topics are concurrently and recurrently coming up again and again and again over the course of a few weeks or a few months. Tracking and monitoring these trends can tell you where your professional or personal life might be headed, because ultimately we live in a very connected world. What decisions a company takes directly affects us, and what we do directly affects the company, and ultimately what both the company and the individual do affects the earth at large. And so everything is connected. So using predictive analytics can help you navigate the changes and evolutions of the world. It can help you, especially given that how in 2023 people are predicting that there is going to be a recession. Already the job market is so bad for most of us. And identifying how long this trend might continue, identifying what skills will be in demand for employers and which job seekers can use to get either a new job if they've already lost their job, or to get a better job with a better pay and better opportunities, because a lot of companies are bringing down their compensation and benefits. So predictive analytics can help you tremendously in manifesting the kind of career that you want. Or if, for example, if you want to start your own business, and instead of just thinking in a short-term range, in terms of, okay, how can I just survive day to day, you can use these trends to find those courses on Udemy or Coursera, or find that whatever learning resource that you have, upskilling resource that you have, to gain those skills, gain that knowledge, gain that experience, which will set you apart from the crowd and future-proof you. Ultimately, I believe that the Empress energy, especially as a deciduous tree, which sheds off its leaves which don't serve it any longer, and which creates or which uses the soil with nutrients as a way to get through those tough times and then to flourish. I believe that you can find out what niches that you need to upskill in, what new skills you need to acquire, what new knowledge bases that you need to create for yourself, and how you can just be ready for the future of work or for the future of anything really. Now I want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is accessibility and affordability. While I'm a huge believer in using the Empress energy to understand how predictive analytics can help you upskill yourself, how it can help you get ready for the future, and how it can help you manifest your dream life, your desired life in the way that you want in this constantly evolving and shifting world, ultimately all of this is possible only when you have the privilege to do so. We need to remember that even in the ancient times when empresses, when we had kingdoms with emperors and empresses, an empress could do a lot and say a lot and get away with it because of her unique position as the consort of the emperor and also the most important woman in the kingdom. Other women and other people would not have had the privilege to do this. Similarly, when you consider upskilling yourself or using the Empress energy to create new opportunities for yourself through smart re-education, through smart reskilling, through smart upskilling, a lot of these activities take a lot of money. They take access. Either you need to have the financial resources to afford purchasing these courses, or you need to know someone who can mentor you in the skills that you want to learn. And unfortunately, not everyone is blessed with these privileges. And this is why I want to urge all of you, the larger community, if you are someone who can easily upskill themselves and you still have some financial resources set aside to give you a comfortable life, share your privilege and share your resources with those of us who don't have the same privilege. For example, if you are a man, the world, let us be very frank, is definitely biased towards you, especially as a cishet man who is white or Caucasian, right? There are certain privileges that you get which women, people of color, and people from the LGBTQ plus community do not have. Access to courses, access to upskilling, access to mentorship, access to opportunities at the workplace, access to better relationships, access to absolutely everything will be definitely higher and definitely better. I urge you to use these privileges that you've been given, because this is institutionalized, this is through the system, this is through the centuries. I urge you to use these privileges that you have and to share these privileges with those who cannot access these same privileges, who cannot access these resources. Because ultimately we need to remember one thing about the Empress, especially in her form as the deciduous tree, is that a deciduous tree ultimately is a home for thousands, perhaps even millions of species, insects, birds, squirrels, mushrooms, mammals, so on, right? The deciduous tree also produces fruits, which acts as a food source for so many creatures, flowers, which acts as food source, and medicines for so many creatures. The leaves are many times medicinal that animals use and even humans use to heal their wounds. The large branches of the deciduous tree are used as a home, a shelter, or even a resting place for animals. Ultimately, through pollination, deciduous trees spread their own seeds and grow and thrive and increase our forest covers. And when the forest cover increases, ultimately the support given to other species, including humans, also increases. So if there's one thing that we can see through the Empress, especially as a deciduous tree, it is that you can grow and you can thrive while also helping others grow and thrive. You can grab your seat at the winner's table or go to the head of your community or your niche, your profession, whatever it is that you want to do. And you can take others along with you up the ladder of success. You can reserve a seat for somebody else who has fewer privileges than you, but who has the desire to make that change. And you can bring them along with you. You can be generous and you can win together. So ultimately, I believe that the Empress energy lends itself very well to upskilling ourselves. And not just in the form of creation of new opportunities, but also nurturing those opportunities by timely re-education, by timely reskilling, timely upskilling, and also by being generous and providing others with fewer privileges with the support they need to grow along with us. And this is the message that I want to leave with you today. If you'd like to pursue this conversation more, please feel free to comment down below what you think about my thoughts on the Empress and upskilling yourself creatively through predictive analytics, sharing your abundance, being generous, and just let me know what you think. I would love to know. I want to start conversations around the tarot and how all of these expressions of the tarot can manifest in our life. And if all of you would like to read this same but in a more detailed way in the form of a blog post, like I mentioned, I have given the link down below in the description box. Do go check it out. If you've been with me so far, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode of Expressions of Tarot on Tales in Text. Bye bye. Have a wonderful day.